Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gig Member Q&A call. Today is Tuesday, July the 18th, 2023. Your hosts, Scott Massey and James Cronk with you. And James, it's great to see you. As always, I'm pumped for today's call. Not only is this going to be one of, I think, my favorites of the year because it's a great topic, but more importantly, one of my favorite people joining us. It's funny. I feel like I go way back with Melissa. The truth is, we've actually never met in person, but this gig journey over the last couple of years has connected us quite a few times. And, Melissa is an absolute trailblazer when it comes to the world of private club, membership, marketing, education. And she's all about thinking outside the box, which, I feel like we are too. She's definitely got some great cutting edge strategies, to help her clients with membership success. And so we're going to dive into those today. I always love learning from her, but, not only is today going to be informative, but everything that Melissa does is extremely actionable, which I think is great. People are going to be able to take this stuff back to their club and use it and put it to good use. And so, not only is it theory, but Melissa, as I know you'll get to, James, is also Director of Marketing and Membership at one of Florida's finest private clubs. So, we are super fortunate to have her joining us today, and I can't wait to see what we get into here in the next hour or so.
Scott, I don't like to sell. I mean, I'm not, I'm all about the soft sell. But, here's what I was thinking when you were just saying that little intro there. If someone is a member of Gig and they have listened to 30 minutes of Melissa Hanson, either read one of her blogs, taken one of her courses, watched her webinar on our platform, listened to this Q&A call, there is no doubt that you will pay for, you could pay for years of a Gig subscription by literally doing two things that Melissa Hanson suggests. I mean, once again, I know that sounds like a self-promotion, but like you said, this is the benefit of us getting a chance to connect with people that are experts in their field, that specialize in an area, and spend all day long focusing on member sales, member retention, member satisfaction, which whether you're a public golf course, a private golf course, have annual pass holders, customers walking off the street, or a 25-year member, it doesn't matter. They are your customers. And it doesn't take much to grab some tidbits from Melissa Hanson that will pay for every single thing that you're doing when it comes to education. So I love that. So you bet. I mean, Melissa was one of our first gurus to kind of joined our platform a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And we're always thrilled to have her back. So let's bring in Melissa Hanson.
Hey guys, it is.
Hey Melissa. I know we're having some Wi-Fi challenges down there in Naples, Florida. But here you are live with us. And so there you are.
Hey guys, how are you today? So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're awesome. It's great to have you, Melissa. It's always great to have you. Now, you are in your office. Are you at the Old Cypress Golf Club in Naples, Florida?
I am.
And we know based on, because we follow you on social media and we follow you on LinkedIn and we follow your website, melissahanson.com, that we know that you just had a little vacation because now is it just too hot to play golf right now? What's going on?
Yeah, it's pretty hot out there, but I definitely needed some R&R, so I took a week off, and it was the longest I had taken off in a really long time. So I came back feeling refreshed, feeling ready for this call. You guys always inspire me so much, so I'm super excited to be here.
Well, that's awesome, Melissa. So look, let's get into it because we love chatting with you about this incredibly important topic. And post-COVID, everyone is experiencing all kinds of different realities, right? I mean, there are clubs that never used to have a wait list that now have a wait list and are trying to figure out how to keep people happy on that wait list. There are clubs that, used to struggle to get to X number of rounds of golf that now are at over capacity. And so finding ways to keep members happy when they can't get a tee time on Saturday morning. But you also have clubs that are not experiencing or have seen a decline after this kind of post-COVID boom that are now wondering, oh my goodness, we just committed $22 million to build a new pool and upgrade the clubhouse, and our waiting list has dropped by 25%. What does that mean for the future? So, Melissa, let me start off before we get into some of our specific questions. What do you think is the new reality with clubs and with memberships, and what do your spider senses tell you about the future of the club world for the next 5 years?
Well, I think definitely you nailed it when everybody is in a different spot, a different market, a different situation. I think what's most important is to really develop a set of skills that you are going to use, whether you are at the top of your game and you're on a 1 year or 2 year wait list, or whether or not, you're struggling with a retention problem at the club, and utilizing those skills and techniques that work and really just continuing to carry them on, whether you're in a good situation or a bad situation.
And we have members at Gig that are all around the world. And the reality is that the golf business is in a different state in various different places. And I mean, we have someone that reached out to us for today's Gig call that, goodness, the attrition that they're going through at their club is scary. But we have other clubs that, like I said, are sitting there going, how do we deal with someone that joined our club that's not going to be able to play on a weekend for 2 years' time? How do we keep them engaged? How do we keep them motivated? So,
but scary that is that I think it can change in a split second. And that's the biggest thing that we've realized. And so, we have clubs here that were all of a sudden on a 5 year wait list. We had the hurricane come through and they had to end up assessing those members. And now that wait list that they were counting on for so many years has shrunk, and it's non-existent anymore. So I think things can just and they can change in a quick amount of time.
There's no doubt. So, Melissa, you, first of all, before we kind of get into some questions, because tell everyone a little bit about melissahanson.com. Tell everyone a little bit about what you do for a day-to-day business, your day-to-day role, and on also the way that you educate other sales and marketing and membership people around the globe.
Sure. So on a day-to-day, I am a director of membership and marketing at the Club at Old Cypress in Naples, Florida. But my passion is continuing education. And what I really just love to do is all things membership and marketing, everything that we're talking about today. And I utilize the knowledge that I've had and things that I've learned over the past 15 years of being in the industry. And I bring that to other membership and marketing professionals in the club industry. So I do that mostly through virtual masterclasses, but I can consult with membership departments virtually or in person, but just trying to take them and elevate their game, elevate the level of membership, and make sure that they are at a wait list and growing that.
Well, I know from firsthand experience, because I have some of my clients that have their membership and sales and marketing people that have learned from you. And once again, I would say in a heartbeat from proven experience that, my goodness, it is time and money well spent. So, Melissa, I don't know if you know this, but I am a social media nerd that is completely incompetent when it comes to social media. And everyone says to me, hey, James, I saw your post on, Instagram, or I saw your post on LinkedIn. And I'm thinking to myself, that wasn't me. That was Mr. Massey. That was the brilliant Scott Massey. And so for those of us that are idiots when it comes to understanding how to engage people, I think one of our first questions, Scott, is about social media platforms and how to use that to drive new members, member engagement, and obviously attract a wider audience. Because obviously putting an ad in the paper is no longer what we do. And so what are some effective strategies for leveraging social media?
That's a great question, and one of my favorite topics, as you know. But I would definitely say if you're just starting out or if you don't feel that you're good at it, one of the first things that I would recommend is following other clubs in your industry that you feel like you're comparative to. So whether it's a club in another area, kind of grab some inspiration from them, see what's working for them, see what they're doing, and try and pull that into your club. But one of the things that I like to do to drive new member engagement through social media is really getting together with the influencers in the location that you live. And when we think about social media influencers, I'm not talking about fashion influencers. I'm talking about influencers that are relative to the golf club industry. So, for example, we have partnered with the influencer that's actually all around the US here. It's called the Scout Guide. And they're just a company. The one down here is the Scout Guide Naples. But they feature different fun things that are taking place in your city. So we partnered with them. We had them come out here, come to one of the concerts at the club. They made a reel. They were promoting the lifestyle. And it's really awesome to collab with somebody else's audience to kind of grow yours and make other people aware of your brand. We have a guy here that's called Naples Golf Guy. And so I thought, oh my gosh, you know what I realized from the analytics, my Google Analytics, was that most of my website traffic was actually being driven from his website. So I thought, how important would it be to have him come out here, play the course, and then post something on social media about it. So definitely recommend collabing with influencers that you have there locally to expand your audience.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That's a great idea. And, like you said, getting people to see what that experience is like, like the real experience of like being involved in an event or participating in a dining event or getting on the golf course. It doesn't need to be your own members. It can be, you can bring in some guests and have that experience. Oh, can you hear us? There you go.
Yes.
Melissa, do people still email? Do we still use email marketing? Is that still a thing?
100%. Yes, we have to use all of the avenues.
So how can a club kind of optimize their email marketing and really kind of, like mostly what I like about this question is that to drive the desired action, right? I mean, if I get one more email that tells me, like who shot 68 or, who won the KP contest, it's like, I appreciate that information, but I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm not going to register. I'm not going to buy something. I'm not going to, change my pattern. It's just information. So how do we use email to create a desired action?
I love this. So I think when we're talking about email, we're talking about two different sets of clientele, right? We're talking about the internal emails that we have out to our members at the club. And then we're talking about emails to prospective members. So it's kind of two different buckets. But either way, I think the most important thing is that email is constantly about testing, then gathering those analytics and really seeing what works for your audience and then repeating it again. So some things that I like to do to kind of shake up an email and really help those open rates and drive the desired results is using video in the email. So having your general manager, your director of golf, your membership director, somebody pop on through a little video in the email where they can see their face and they can hear a message from them is just a really great way than just boring text, listing an event, listing promotions, listing what's going on. It's from somebody that we know, like, and trust. And I love just surprising them with an element of a live video.
Go ahead. No, go.
So I was going to say another thing that we like to do if we're promoting an event that takes place on an annual occurrence. So say it's the member guest event or the member event, is we like to use photos of the members at that event the previous year, because when members see other members and join the club, it really creates that fear of missing out. It's going to want to make them sign up and be a part of that event. So using great photography from previous events to promote upcoming ones is a really great thing.
I think we have a question coming up, Scott, but I want to go back to video. Melissa, is there like some special technology you need to put a video in a newsletter?
I use a company called BombBomb. I know you guys have heard me talk about that before. It's a platform I really like. I like the analytics behind it. But I know there's many companies out there, and you could simply, whether you're on a Constant Contact or a MailChimp or something like that, just recording a video from your iPhone and sliding it in, that's an option as well.
Scott, you know how to do all that stuff. It's pretty easy, right?
Well, BombBomb is definitely easy for sure. I mean, I know that, for us using it, it's literally just copy and paste. You can drop that video right into the body of the email, super easy. So, for anybody out there looking to send emails to people with a video, component to it, no brainer. Love BombBomb. It's awesome.
And, one other thing I want to mention on email, and I feel like, we're so bombarded by email in our daily lives, is the importance of segmentation. And I feel that clubs, sometimes get away from this, and they're sending those emails to every single member at the club. But if you're able to segment your members by their interest, whether that's tennis, pickleball, golf, whatever their interests might be, and then send them only emails that are tailored to their interests, I think you're much more likely to have a better open rate and response rate when it's something that is of interest to them.
When you see emails from other clubs, like when you see newsletters from other clubs, we don't have to mention any names, but what do you think is kind of, and because I love that segmentation one, and maybe that's going to be your answer, I don't know. But what would you say is kind of like the number one no-no that you kind of see that goes out, in communications from an email standpoint or even from a social media standpoint? What's one of the kind of the no-nos you're just like, oh, that's bad, don't do that?
I think the biggest one is just the same templated email every single week. Here is the newsletter from XYZ Club. Boring. Let's shake up that subject line and really, give the users an experience in their inbox. When it's just a templated email where it's the same thing every week, just popping in a different price or a different menu, that to me is just a snooze fest.
Got that right. I can't say I haven't seen that 5 times in the last 3 weeks. So you're totally right. Hey, so I think this is the next question, but I don't know if this is Scott. Yeah, because this is something that comes up a lot, Melissa, about, and I know this is about new member orientation, but it's also about like keeping waiting list members engaged. Like this is such a new thing that, many clubs are dealing with right now, obviously. But and once again, we know that everyone's different, but how do you keep people that sense of belonging?
Yeah, so this I would definitely say is the hottest topic at clubs right now, and it's a focus that they didn't have a couple years ago that they're really needing to like backpedal and come up with a program and make it successful and implement it quick. But onboarding is huge. Having somebody, whether that's the membership director or other people on your team, onboard that new member into the club so that they have that perfect experience right from day one is really essential when you're talking about retention. One thing you had mentioned previously was a new member orientation. It's an absolute shocker to me how many clubs are just handing, a stack of frequently asked questions to their new members and just assuming that they're going to know how to navigate this new place that they're in. So conducting some sort of orientation process where you're really holding their hands and showing them every different component of the club is key. One thing you mentioned was wait list, and keeping those members engaged. We love doing special events for our new members and our waitlist members. So we like to combine them together because they're two kind of smaller groups usually. We find that our new members are the most excited members at the club, and the members are very eager to get in. So pairing those two together are normally very excited people. So, setting a certain amount of events per season or per year that you allow your waitlist members just a little bit of access to the club, whether it's a specific golf tournament, a 9-in-1, a cocktail mixer, just continuing to give them that taste of what they're about to receive, I think is really crucial to keeping them engaged.
Are you seeing anything different? When you talk about like 9-in-1s and kind of, these kind of events, have you come across, or have you done any kind of different kind of events that, are unique, or that, you've seen that are like, oh, wow, that's kind of, different. Like that's different than the typical kind of, come down, play 9 holes, have some wine and thanks for coming, like, which is great. It's better than doing nothing. But are there some other kind of events that you've seen that have been successful in engaging those people?
So we really started kind of making smaller, more intimate events that we found that a lot of people that were joining recently, the male was the golfer and the female was just coming because she was part of the membership. So we started doing events, new member and waitlist member events that were like charcuterie board classes. We did a cocktail mixing class where our culinary staff got together and showed them how to make some festive cocktails for the holidays. We did a flower arranging class that was really popular. We try to do some more interactive things where they can get together and they have something to physically do than just walk around with a drink in their hand and try to introduce themselves to people that they don't know. So we found that interactive component was a much better success. And also that they really got to know each other on a one-on-one basis.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Scott, what do you want to ask Melissa next?
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about a successful ambassador program. Maybe for some people in the audience, let's just describe a little bit about what the ambassador program is and just how it's used as a tool to help with member satisfaction and retention.
Yeah. So ambassador programs. Yes. And so I think it can be different at every club. Some clubs need them. Some clubs, if you are at a lengthy wait list, it might not be a necessity. But what we do is I recommend coming up with a committee that is truly your cheerleaders for the club. And I like to break up an ambassador committee into kind of 3 different subcommittees. I call them find them, sign them, and bind them. So the find them section of the ambassador are your people that are really good, that are really connected in your community, that are really good at kind of fostering new leads for your club. So that might be a really popular real estate agent or somebody that is in the banking business with a lot of people locally, somebody that has a lot of connections. So they would be part of your find them. Then we've got the sign them, and those people are going to be essential because those are going to help the prospective members kind of navigate the club and experience it for the first time. So that's going to be their prospective member golf round, their prospective member dinner at the club to get that vibe. Those people are going to need to put on a show. They're going to need to show your club in the best light. They are enthusiastic. They're your cheerleaders. They are your sales people. And then we're going to have the bind them committee. And those people are often people that have been at the club for a while, that are kind of really familiar with the rules and regulations, the different policies and procedures at the club. And that's once a prospect physically joins the club, they assist in holding their hand and teaching them anything that they need to know, maybe playing their first or second golf round with them, maybe introducing them to a group of people. But they're the people that are most familiar with the club and are going to help them get situated.
Come on. That is probably the best idea I've ever heard in the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Find them, sign them, and bind them. Oh my God, I'm so stealing that.
Don't steal it.
Best ideas are borrowed, right?
Huh?
The best ideas are borrowed.
Well, you know what I love? What I love about that, not to mention any names because it doesn't really matter. But sometimes I get sitting in these committees, and they want to talk about French fries. But the reality is that they should be talking about how to find them, how to sign them, and how to bind them, right? And I love that example you gave, Melissa, about the difference of someone that is able to go find new prospects, right? Like you said, a real estate agent that spends their entire days talking to new people that come into the community that just bought a home or are just or transitioning or whatever they're doing. And are a perfect, example of who would kind of be possibly joining your club, right? Or a banker that's obviously setting up new accounts for new people to come to the community, or whatever it might be. I mean, there's so many different people that would love to do that. And Melissa, is there anything? First of all, two things. Do you have to give the ambassadors anything?
So I typically comp their experience with the prospect. So if they are dining with the prospect, I comp their dinner for them. But I think you have to be careful. And I always make sure that the ambassador of your club, that you're really making sure that that's a privilege. And instead of asking for people to volunteer for the committee, I prefer to reach out to people because you don't want those kind of freeloaders that just want to do it because they get a free meal or they get a free round of golf. You want people in it for the right reason. So, but that's all that we give them.
And do you tend to have like 2 people in each little group, or 1 person, or 6 people? Excuse me.
A total of 20 for the entire ambassador committee, and then just breaking that up depending on where you are at your club, who you're needing more assistance with. For us being on a wait list right now, we're needing more assistance, not with the find them part, but with the bind them and the integration part. But really, I think what's important is having a diverse group of individuals on there. Ages is huge. You're going to want, people that are young, that are still working. Then you're also going to want the retirees, just so you know how to make the perfect match to the perfect ambassador, to the imperfect prospect or new member.
While we're on this kind of topic of new members, we're kind of getting members going. What are some of the what are some of the objections that you think are the most common, right? And how do you, like, for example, whether you want to use your club or some other club, whatever it might be, like, what are the objections? It's too expensive. It's not, maybe it doesn't have the right amenities. I don't love the vibe. Whatever, is too far. I mean, there's all kinds of objections, obviously, for a sale. But how do you kind of organize objections, and how do you kind of deal with objections, and do you kind of compartmentalize them and try to overcome them, or how do you deal with that? Because I don't know if this question's coming up, Scott. I can't remember. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But while we're on this kind of topic of find them, sign them, and bind them, that's my first question. My second question is there like a conversion rate, like an industry conversion rate? Like if you have 20 leads, you should convert 2 people into a membership, or you need 100 email responses before you get to 10 tours, which gets to 1 sale, like in the life insurance business. So those, can you talk about those 2 things, Melissa?
Yeah, so I would say, definitely there's objections for sure. I would say the one that I see most commonly is that the need to join now. You need to be able to let your prospective member know that now is the right time for them to join. Often it's something that they're thinking about, but there's no real rush for it. The club's going to be there. The club's been there for 20 years. That person needs to get their schedule right or their finances in order or whatever it is. So kind of creating that desire that, now is their time to join, I think is sometimes a big objection that they just don't, it's a luxury, right? It's nothing that they need right now. So kind of convincing them that it is and how it's going to improve their life.
And is there anything that you use there to create that sense of urgency? Like, is like the price is going up next month or, blah, 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 blah. Like, is there anything that you kind of use for that?
Of course, James, there's lots of secrets. I definitely think price is one of them, but I would say overprice availability. Because when you have a scarce number of something, no matter what the price is, people are really scared of missing out on something. So that's a tactic that we like to use, scarcity for sure.
I love it.
You had was
the second question I had was like, and actually, I think this is in the next question, Scott.
No, I think you're talking about like close rates. Like if you had 20.
I was talking about measurements, so I don't know what the next question is, but let's start with this, which is like, once again, like if I'm a general manager and I have a membership director, how do I hold them accountable? What are the measurements that I should use to hold them accountable as a sales and marketing manager?
So I don't know, like if there's an industry standard, as far as statistically on what, every club's conversion rate is. I think anywhere from a 30 to 40% conversion rate would be a success. What I think is I'm a big advocate of email drip campaigns to your prospective member database. I like to send a minimum of one per month. And I notice that when I send one, that I always have at least one person join the club at some category of membership. So I would think, and again, every membership is different. So if you're at a club like mine where initiation fee is $100,000, it's going to be different at a club that might not have an initiation fee or something like that. So I think the metrics is kind of different pertaining on what type of club you're at. But I would say the biggest thing, and you had mentioned about a club that was on the call today, is the retention. You've got to make sure that your club is taking in more members than you're losing overall.
That question's coming up, right, Scott?
Oh.
Yeah, we've got that one at the end of the call. Next call or next question rather. Yeah, definitely about measuring the effectiveness of your efforts, but more from a social media standpoint, and obviously other marketing initiatives that go into attracting members to the club. So how do you gauge the ROI of those initiatives, and then ultimately take that data and make good decisions that are, for the benefit of the club?
Yeah. So I think a CRM system, customer relationship management system, is the first thing that needs to be implemented at any club or business rather. You have to have some way that you are managing and tracking your leads and your marketing efforts. I use HubSpot. There's definitely a free version of that. I'm on a paid version, but there's many different CRM systems, and it's shocking to me to find out how many clubs are still using an Excel sheet to follow up with their leads. And I was talking to a consulting company a couple of weeks ago. We were doing a podcast together, and they had done a blind study where they went and they pretended that they were a prospective member, and there was I forget what they said. It was about 70% of membership directors never follow up after that initial inquiry. So they provide information, but after that information is provided, they never follow up again. And if you are tracking your leads via an Excel sheet or whatever that is not some automated platform of measuring, your analytics, then I think you're really going to fall behind and miss the boat.
Melissa, how much time do you spend in general? If you have we'd love to have a 40-hour work week. Let's just say you have a 40-hour work week. How many hours a week do you spend talking with prospective members, new members, blah, blah, blah? And then how much time is spent doing these types of kind of mining and, creating data, social media, like the machine, right? Spending time on the machine that generates the lead, that generates the sale, right? Because it's like anything, you sit there and you wait for the phone to ring. Guess what? The phone won't ring. You have to do the work to kind of make it happen. So what kind of portion, percentage wise, or however you want to do it, to give people some perspective about what it takes to kind of generate sales?
Yeah, that's a great question. Also, I think it depends on if you're in season or not.
Of course, yeah.
Say you are at the height of your season and you have those inquiries coming in every day. I mean, I can receive up to 15 to 20 inquiries on membership per day. So I would say that, 40% of my day is taken by answering the people back via email or the phone or however they prefer to be communicated with, and then touring those people around. I would say only 10% of my day is really used in analytics and diving in. I could spend more time there. I definitely have people that help me. I have an SEO team that I contract with that help provide some of those, because at the end of the day, like you said, there's just not enough hours in the day, but it is also really important to look at. And then I tend to circle back a lot when we're in the off season and sales aren't coming in as hot. And I'm like, okay, time to follow up with some of these people that reached out. So I would say just about 10% of the day is used diving into the analytics. But a lot of it is, so many people are inquiring via email now, and it's like you're sitting at your computer and it's a rapid fire with questions. They've got a question, you're answering back. I mean, you could pick up the phone and finish this in 10 minutes, but people don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that great Jerry Seinfeld joke when he phones and someone picks up the phone. He's just like, no, I wanted your voicemail. I didn't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
Scott, what's next?
Yeah, so just wanted to address the question of trends or specific tools or software solutions that you might recommend for streamlining all this stuff. So, all the membership and marketing operations, if you will. Is there anything, maybe in addition to the CRM that we just talked about that you're using right now that could be helpful for others out there?
And if you get paid a commission on recommending anything, we have no problem with that. We're all about promoting tools that we think
shameless plugs, right?
What's that, Scott?
Shameless plugs.
Yeah, shameless plugs.
No, I don't get any commissions, but maybe I should set that up because I truly do believe in the products that I use. This one's a free one, and I'm actually curious to know if you guys are using it. But I have completely dove into the world of AI. And I am using ChatGPT every single day, assisting me in writing social media captions for the club, actually writing my member emails. The big long newsletter that goes out from the president or the golf pro. Hello, ChatGPT, totally taking care of that for me. Are you guys using it at all? I hate to give away.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this on Friday together, actually, and I heard somebody say that, it's not going to be ChatGPT that takes someone's job away. It's going to be the person who's using ChatGPT that's going to take someone's job away, right? So, I mean, I think it's here. There's a lot of people out there that have strong opinions on it, but I think it just makes us more efficient, right? So it's not perfect, but if you can use the tool effectively, it can certainly get you, 60 or 70% of the way there. And then you can, fine tune it, get it exactly where you want to get the voice perfect, get the message perfect. And it's just, it saved you some time so that you can then get on to the next thing that you have to get onto, right? It's a great tool if you use it right.
Scott and I have learned though too, right? Sorry, my apologies.
Hopefully that's somebody with a question about today's call.
That was someone asking about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing, right? It's like if you put in valuable information, and you've got, like, you can't make up stuff if you don't know it, first of all. Like, so you have to know the content, and then you've got to be able to edit the information that it spits out to make sure that it's accurate and it's relevant. Because otherwise, I think people are going to see through it. I think that's what's going to happen, right? Sorry.
Yeah. You're going to become an expert at it, like any other tool. There's definitely ways to use it. And I'm learning so much in a short amount of time. But I would say the biggest thing that you said, Scott, that I can agree with is what a time saver it is. And if you're at a club that does not have a membership department of multiple people, which is where I am, I'm the only one, just one. I handle everything. It's very, very useful and just a huge time saver. Sometimes you're just in this creative rut and, throw something in ChatGPT and your mind gets going.
Yeah, it can definitely help with the writer's block, and just, sometimes when you're stuck, it just gets you going down the right path, right?
Yes.
What's next, Scott?
Let's talk about internal member communication strategy. So key elements of a successful strategy and how can clubs implement them effectively?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is, consistent but timely updates across all your departments. I think so many times when we're communicating with our members, we're just trying to get something out. And it can either be boring, like we had mentioned before, or it can just be an overload of communication from every different department. If you're at a club and you're sending 5 emails out to your members every week, I mean, it's not a good look. We're being bombarded every day, as we had mentioned. And so really kind of creating some sort of content calendar for your members where they know when to expect the information, where to get it. But then I think the biggest thing is communicating across multiple platforms, because at the end of the day, we all consume content differently. Maybe you prefer to watch Instagram stories. So putting up some member communication via your Instagram story. Maybe you are more traditional and you like a print version. Maybe you do prefer, or you're used to email. Whatever it is, there's so many different communication platforms these days. And unfortunately, we've got to be on all of them.
So is the idea to, just really understand, how people like to consume the information, and then make sure it's, in all those places. So you're not just doing some things on social media, some things in your newsletter, some things on email. Is it all about, just blasting those messages out on all the platforms, and then let the person decide, where they go to get it?
Exactly. Let that decide where they want to consume their information. I just had a gentleman in here earlier, and I said, I just put the new, we have a young professionals, what we call 5 at 5. So it's just 5 holes of golf, 5 o'clock at night. And he's like, we had so much fun at the event. And I said, I just sent you out the new information via your email. He's like, my email? He's like, I never checked that thing. But he saw it in the Instagram story on social media. So again, you just have to at all the places. And I mean, thankfully Canva, Scott, I mean, it makes it easy for all of us to resize things,
Totally.
In the quickest version possible, but you've got to be everywhere.
Melissa, what's your attitude about volume of content? Like, so, do you do 30 words or 300 words? Like, are people, is it about short little snippets, or is it about, telling the whole story?
No, nobody wants to read the whole story anymore. If you're going to tell a story, I would, if you need to tell a story, I would definitely do so via some form of video. I know if you guys are familiar with like Ben Lorenzen over at Champions Run, they do their newsletter via video, which I think is fascinating. But at the end of the day, yeah, keep it short and simple. Bullet points are amazing, short and to the point. If they want to read more, learn more, click somewhere else or call. But yeah, I don't think we have the attention span anymore.
Ben's been one of our gurus before. We did a webinar with Ben, and he's awesome. I mean, same thing. Like, I would just highly recommend people follow Ben on LinkedIn, read his stuff, listen to Ben with regards to creating video, creating content. I mean, what an amazing club that he's at and all the stuff that he's doing there. But, what I learned about Ben, or the example I would use from Ben is that you don't have to have 400 kids in your pool with, alligators and octopus and drones flying over, dropping down gift cards.
Hey, that's Melissa's thing. That's not Ben's. Come on now.
That's Melissa's thing. You don't have to do everything in order just to do something, right? Like, it doesn't, you can have a small club, you can have a small budget, you can, just take one event and kind of do certain things. I mean, sometimes we get overwhelmed by we don't have a budget to, do this, or I don't have a $4,000 camera to do that or to do whatever. But the reality is that doing something is better than doing nothing. And it doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be expensive. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be pretty, right? Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%. And if you're looking for any inspiration, Ben and his club are fantastic. I also like the Field Club of Omaha. They do a really good job, promoting their events and, with video, with social media. They do a really great job. It just it makes you want to dive into everything there. But no, it doesn't have to be expensive. And our iPhones are absolutely amazing. And, if you are in the role, say, for example, as the membership director, and that's not your thing, being on video, that's okay. That's the person. It doesn't have to be that person. Find somebody else at your club. Maybe your director of golf is just somebody that is completely loved and doesn't mind being a goof on camera or sharing information. Maybe it's your general manager. Maybe it's your chef. You don't know, but I think kind of really getting in and making that personalized and fun. At the end of the day, we all want to be entertained, and that is what I always take from chatting with Ben and his group over at Champions.
Yeah, that's great advice. Good stuff. Scott, what's next, bud?
Yeah, so Melissa, obviously you get to work with a lot of great clubs and you get to see a lot of fun stuff. So just hoping you can maybe share a success story or two with us. Just clubs that you've worked with. They've implemented some of your strategies and best practices, and obviously seen some great results. So just thought there might be a fun story there too that you could share to kind of paint a picture for what it might be like come out the other side after implementing some of the stuff that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think there's kind of two that stick out in my head. I think one, on a more serious note, that we did talk about earlier is new member onboarding. I think in our role as membership director, we're always thinking sales, sales, sales. That's the most important, and we need to meet our numbers, and the club relies on the dues and all of that. But I'm seeing a shift in these clubs where they're finally realizing the importance of onboarding, and they're kind of backpedaling and assisting the members that had just joined their club over the past, let's say, 2 to 3 years, and implementing some cool things. I have to give a shout out. One of my students is Columbine Country Club in Colorado. And one of the things I teach through my classes is the importance of a new member microsite. And what we do with a microsite is we create a specific website, and it houses all of the new member information, everything they need to know, dress codes, who to contact at the club. All of that important information is on a website. Before at your club, you might have been doing like a new member binder of information or frequently asked questions, but we saw that people are, they're traveling so much now, they're so busy. So just being able to go to your computer, click on a link that you have, tips is really essential. And Columbine Country Club did a really good job implementing their new member microsite for onboarding. So that's been something that I was proud to see. And then you guys have probably heard me speak about it before, but I talk a lot about a company that I use for gifting called Birdie Box, and I post a lot about it. It's a part of all of my classes in some way, and
Yeah, we might have frozen there. We were doing great for 51 minutes.
Oh no, she's back.
Where?
There you go.
Tell us about Birdie Box.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you guys, you know I love them so much, and I use them for my new member gifting. And so I post about it all the time. And it's been really cool to see so many of my students start to post their new member gift boxes on social media. And I work with clubs that have all different budgets. Most of the clubs I work with have a lower budget end, and to see them kind of work and grow and surprise their new members with just a little treat, it's very rewarding.
Awesome.
Love it. That's awesome. Scott, we got one more question, I think.
Yeah, we're coming up to the top of the hour here. One more question, and as we've talked about a few times today, there's lots of different things happening in different parts of the world. Different markets are creating different scenarios for clubs. Things are definitely not as strong economically in Australia right now as we might think on the surface. And we've got a specific question here from a club who's definitely having a challenge with attracting and retaining members at their club on an annual basis. So just with everything that this question has there, any tips, any thoughts, any ideas? James, you might have some commentary as well.
I mean, I think the one thing that we didn't mention, which is so important, is surveying your new members. So oftentimes clubs survey their current membership database, but we were talking a little bit before we got started today, but I'm happy to send examples to anyone that is seeing this of any of the things that we've implemented at other clubs, just so you can kind of see what we're talking about. But sending that new member a survey after 90 days and getting their feedback, I think is crucial for clubs that are really having a retention problem. I've implemented many low user programs where we can kind of grab that data and we can see which members are not utilizing the club as we had hoped that they would. And so creating a program to where we are fostering those low users and really getting them integrated. They might need their hand held a little bit longer to make them see the value of what they had just joined. So I think that would be my biggest advice.
Yeah, what I would add to that, I mean, that's such a tough situation. And obviously we don't know all the details, know the background, but I would add to Melissa's comment, which is that when we lose a sale, when we lose a customer, we always want to know the reasons and we don't want to assume the reasons. So we need to understand whether or not that's a price reason, that's a value for dollar reason, that's I'm not using the club reason, that's the service sucks reason. There's all kinds of reasons why we can lose people. So we have to first, as Melissa says, we got to talk to them. We got to understand. We got to identify. We got to narrow it down. We've got to make sure we're dealing with the 80%, not the 20%. And then maybe we've got to come up with some creative ways to try to retain them. Like maybe we have to come up with a different pricing structure. Maybe we have to come up with different benefits. You know what? If you can't afford our normal program, well, why don't you stay on as a lifestyle member, and it's only 50% of the price, but you don't get all the benefits. You only get to book 2 days in advance instead of 7 days in advance, or you only get to play once a week instead of 5 unlimited per week. I mean, there's all kinds of different things there. And there's obviously a very complicated scenario when you're dealing with that kind of volume of attrition. But although I don't know how many members that is, maybe that's 2,000 out of 20,000 or 2,000 out of 4,000, right? So, but I do think that the lesson I would say, and this is, I would say it to summarize kind of a lot of things we've talked about today, which is that you can't keep doing the same things the same way, right? In any business, but in particular in the club business right now, it is evolving. It is changing. It is what we thought, who thought that 2 years ago we wouldn't be able to get a part from Asia to fix a mower? Or we wouldn't be able to, get golf carts for 19 months, or we would have a waiting list. I mean, so many things have changed, or the price of mayonnaise is up by 65%. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are just being thrown at us all the time. And we have to be able to adapt and to innovate. So I would say, of all the things we've talked about today, that's one of the great messages, is that you got to try new things and see what sticks, right, Melissa?
100%.
Melissa, you have a program. First of all, let's finish off by saying a couple things. Unbelievable content. Thank you so much. So good. I mean, literally, I've got 22 notes here that I was going to come back to talk about, and we don't have time. But there's so many good things there. You're very generous in offering your content. I would invite people to go to melissahanson.com. To find all about you, to get your blog, to sign up for your information, to understand your classes and the different things, because people can learn from you online, right? I mean, and then you've got something coming up pretty, I believe in a week. Tell us about that.
I lost you there, James.
Tell us about what's coming up next week for you with your program.
Yeah. So this is kind of made for everybody in the hospitality world, but we are doing a live masterclass all about LinkedIn. So we will be going live. I have the information on my Instagram page, my website, LinkedIn, everywhere, but we are diving into all of the things, and I'm super excited. It's a new class that I'm just releasing for the first time.
And then Melissa, just real quickly, what are some of the titles of some of the other programs and classes that you offer online?
Well, I'll give you some categories because I didn't come prepared with the titles, but we have, I can definitely do onboarding and orientation is huge. I have a social media class that is really big. I have a class all about ambassadors that we actually just wrapped a couple of weeks ago. And if you go to my website, you can see my courses, and anything that you see on there that you kind of need assistance with in the club space as far as membership and marketing, I can just pop on and do a virtual one-on-one session with you. And that's what's so amazing. We can tailor it to exactly what you're having issues with at the club.
I love it. I love it. Scott, any final thoughts, bud?
Well, no, I think just a big thank you to Melissa. It's always such a pleasure, working with you like this. I love everything that you bring to the table. There's so many creative ideas. And like I said in the beginning, you're always thinking outside the box. And I just think it's a lot of fun when we get to do these things. So thank you so much for joining us. Today's been great. And, I hope everybody that tuned in live got a lot out of it. We had a great audience here for the full hour, which is always a great sign of the value. People staying with us for the full hour is fantastic. And I know this is going to live in the Gig Q&A call archive for a long time. And, existing people in Gig Nation that couldn't tune in today will see it. And people that join us in the future will too. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to the next time for sure.
Thank you, guys. So good to see you.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching our live Q&A call. We will have another exciting edition of this live Q&A call next month with a special guest soon to be announced. And otherwise, as always, we look forward to seeing you on the inside.
Thanks, everyone.